Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning into another Pineapple Bytes video training session. In this video, we're going to review and discuss how you create and edit comps, which are a type of discount that can be used in the Aloha point of sale. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to want to log into your Aloha Manager, and then from the top categories, you're going to select Maintenance, Payments, Comps. And this is going to open up our comp maintenance window here. And at the very top here, you're going to see that it starts at our first comp that we have created. If you hit your drop down here, you're going to see all of the listings of the comps that you currently have programmed in your database. So what I'll do is we'll kind of go through um, a couple different comps here so you can see how they're set up, and I'll explain what each field is for. So for this particular example, we'll use our 20% comp that we have created here. So starting at our comp tab here, here's our name listed right up here. So basically, one second here. So name. This is just going to be the name of the comp, so it will show up here at the top. So whatever you name it will just show up here. Type regular. Generally, there'll always be a regular comp unless you're using one that's going to be assigned to an Aloha loyalty program. Then you may need to create one for loyalty. Check name, it specifies a descriptive name that prints on the guest check when you apply the comp. You have a type maximum of 20 characters that can be used in this field. Method indicates how the system calculates the value of the comp. So you have a couple different options that you can use here. You have a fixed percent, which enables the comp to apply a set percentage. In order to use that option, you must type a percentage amount if you select percent off. Prompt for percent indicates the Aloha POS system prompts for the entry of the percentage to decrease the check. Prompt for amount indicates the Aloha POS system prompts for the comp amount at the order entry terminal. It's used for non-percentage comps. And then you have one called cost-based, which enables the comp to decrease the check based on a specified markup percentage of the item cost of the item. This option enables the markup percent option. So if we select this, you'll see here that we get a markup percent field here. What we're going to do is we're going to keep this at a fixed percent for this particular one. Let's go here. We'll put in our 20%. So that's the different methods you can use. Now, of course, the percent off. So if you're using a fixed percent, you're going to want to type in the fixed percent here. So it specifies the percentage to discount when you apply the comp. Type the percentage and press enter. For example, to set this amount to 50% off, you type 50 and then press enter. The system converts the decimals for you. You must select a fixed percent or prompt for percent as the pricing method to enable this option. Then you have a field called maximum amount. So this establishes a maximum dollar amount you can discount. So if you do not select prompt for amount, you must select the items to comp when you apply the comp. Neither the item total or the entered amount can be more than the amount specified here. For example, if you define a comp as 100%, but the maximum amount is set to $5, the customer is responsible for the balance of the item if it totals more than $5. So you can put this in here if you want to only allow up to a certain dollar amount to be discounted. Then you have the allow before items ordered, this field right here. So what this does is it enables you to apply a comp before any items are added to the check. Use this option if you want to create a single continuous running comp check. Additionally, if you manipulate an item which has been comped, such as a priced substitution or a void, the comp automatically adjusts to reflect the alteration. So if you select this option and clear must select items, the system allows the comp to apply to a single continuous running comp check. That's what that does. Then we have first available button position. So this assigns the comp to the first button available. This option is helpful when managing data from multiple stores. When you send a new comp from the corporate office, if this option is selected, the system determines the button position to use when the new comp becomes active at the store. So this is basically what position on your comp screen. So if you go on the front of house terminal and you go to the tender screen and you select comp, it will pick the first position that doesn't have a button there. It will just automatically put that comp there. If you don't want to use first available button, you can go to your button position and then you can select particularly where we want to put it. So you can see here, if we click on our dots over here, it will bring up our current listing of what our comp screen looks like on the front of house terminal, and you can pick where you want this specific comp to be. So I can move it here, I can put it here, so you can pick anywhere where you want it to be, and that will set that correctly. The report as is defines the comp name used for tracking and reporting sales applied with this comp. To report a comp as itself, click Save, then select the current comp from the report as a drop-down list. So you'll basically want as report as is typically always just whatever the name of the comp is. Print check on close, pretty self-explanatory. It prints a copy of the guest check immediately after tendering and closing the check for the guest to view. In table service environments, we recommend you clear this option as the guest leaves the restaurant before the last and final closing of the check, because typically they're not coming up and to a cashier and paying off there. Typically, they're leaving the money on the table or they're using debit and credit at the table. They're not actually coming up and getting another receipt when it's closed. Open drawer on closed. It enables the cash drawer to open when you apply the comp. Manager required requires a manager to apply the comp. So if you're set up where certain job codes aren't permitted to do comps, when an employee tries to do a comp, it will prompt for a manager password. So a manager will have to come over and type in their password to authorize the comp. Then we have include comp amount in tippable sales. So this causes the guest check amount, including the discount, to report as tippable sales. Include comp amount in the gratuity calculation. This enables the Aloha POS system to apply gratuity to the guest check after adding the selected comp to the check. Must select items requires you to select the menu items to discount before you can apply the comp. If you clear this option and select allow before items ordered, the system applies and adjusts the comps as you add, substitute, and delete items on the check, allowing you to create a running comp check. Prompt for unit, store number, indicates the Aloha POS system prompts you to enter the unit number on the front of house. This is useful for multi-store operations that accept employee comps from other locations. The store number is derived from the number entered at the top of the store import. Prompt for name prompts you to enter a name, such as the name of the employee receiving the comp when applying the comp to a guest check in the front of house. This is helpful when tracking who receives employee comps. Require identification for name requires an employee receiving a comp to slide his or her magnetic ID card through a card reader instead of typing the number manually. For a required option, you must select prompt for name to enable this option. Then we got text entry required, forces the entry of a descriptive reason using the front of house special message screen for applying the comp. You must include the special message variable in the comp approval form design. Then we have our barcode, lowest and highest. So the lowest establishes the lowest of two values in the valid barcode number range for this comp. For example, if the valid barcode range for this comp is 13,000 through 13,004, you would type 12,999 here. 13,000 is the next highest number and the first valid barcode number for this comp. Highest establishes the highest of two values in the valid barcode number range for this comp. For example, if the valid barcode range for this comp is 13,000 through 13,004, type 13,005 here. 13,004 is the last valid barcode number for this comp. Then we got some validations down here. Prompt for validation code. Forces the system to prompt for the entry of a validation code. And then we have validate card through Aloha Loyalty. Uses the Aloha Loyalty service to validate the comp card rather than the Aloha POS system. As a required option, you must access Maintenance Business Additional Features, Corporate Administration, Corporate Owner tab, and select Display Aloha Loyalty under the options to display group bar to expose this option. Then we'll go to our Taxes tab here. So in here you have Guest Pays Tax. So this requires the guest to pay the tax on the comp. If cleared, the restaurant pays the tax. Primary taxes. Apply tax to comp amount. Applies the primary tax to the full amount of the comp. The system calculates the tax on the original item price before applying the comp. Apply tax to comp amount. What that means is applies the vendor tax to the full amount of the comp. So if you have this here for secondary taxes, it'll apply a secondary tax to the comp amount. The system calculates the tax on the original item price before applying the comp. Vendor taxes, apply tax to comp amount, applies the vendor tax to the full amount of the comp. And then you have surcharge comp amount, applies a tax to the comp amount. This option is for use with surcharges only. Next, we have our restrictions tab. So basically, we use the restrictions tab to define the limitations on the comp, govern how promotion items are handled with a comp, and how other comps affect it. This tab is unavailable for the Aloha Loyalty comp type. So what we have here for promotion restrictions, allow items discounted by promotion. So this indicates the selected comp can handle items defined as promotions. Allow with existing promotions on a check. Allows multiple promotions on the same guest check. Allow with existing promotions on a table. Allows multiple promotions at the same table. Allows subsequent promotions on a check. It allows subsequent promotions on the check to be eligible for the selected promotion. Allows subsequent promotions on a table. Allows subsequent promotions at the table to be eligible for the selected promotion. And then we have the exact same kind of things for our comp restrictions here. And then our maximum, we can do a per check. So it defines the maximum allowable number of each comp per check. A warning message appears on the front of house when you attempt to apply more comps than the number specified for this option. The number you specify must be higher than 1. So if we select 2, this would allow us to be able to apply this comp twice to a check. Then we have per table. Defines the maximum allowable number of comps permitted per table. A warning message appears in the front of house when you attempt to apply more comps than the number specified for this option. The number specified must be higher than 1. As a required option, you must type the same number as per check unless you use split checks. Then we have our Eligibility tab. So what this tab is used for is to designate a category of items to discount with this comp. If you select a category, you can apply the comp discount only to the items purchased from the designated category. If you do not select a category, you can apply the comp discount to items from all categories. It is also possible to stipulate a specific combo a guest must purchase to be eligible for the comp. So our eligible items right here, if you hit our drop down, it's going to show a list of every category that we have created in the system. So it specifies the category of items discounted by the comp when purchased by the guest. If not none, you can apply the comp discount only to items purchased from the category you select from the drop-down list. If you set it to none, you can apply the comp discount to items from all categories. And then we have our combos here, which we typically don't use. But you can see here what we have is we have available and we have included. So that's for our combos if we had combos that we were setting up, but we don't actually have any here in this demo system. So you can see here With this 20% comp regular, we have our eligible items set to food. So that means anything that is in the food sales category will be eligible to be able to have this 20% comp assigned to it. So this is basically used for, like, let's say for instance, we want to do maybe let's say we want to do an app discount. So we're going to create up a particular discount that's going to give a 50% off app items. But we wanted to give it a set percent, and we only want it to be able to be applied to just items that are apps. So the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to need a category that just has those items in it. So what we can do is we can go to maintenance, menu, categories. And then from here, we're going to create a brand new one because we don't have one that's called just apps already. So we're going to go and we're going to hit new. And we're going to create a general category. It's not going to be a sales category because it's just going to be general. It's just going to be used for this particular comp. So we'll call it apps. We'll give it the same description as apps. And then we're going to go to our items. And on the left here, we're going to have a list of every item in our database. So you can see here, here's our appetizers. They start at 1,000. So I'm going to select all these. So I'm going to pick the first one. I'm going to keep going down all the way down here. Oh, looks like there might not be any. So let's see here where apps probably stops. So there's milk, poutine, barbecue chicken. Yeah, so it's probably kids pasta. Well, let's say the apps just run, let's say, to pepperoni. So these are our apps: mussels, onion rings, poutine, extra plate, bacon wrapped scallops, pepperoni. So I'm gonna select all these. So you can click on the first one, hold down Shift on your keyboard, and then click on the last one, and it will highlight every item in between. So I'm going to move these over by clicking this arrow. So now you can see included in this category, I have mussels, onion rings, poutine, extra plate, bacon wrapped scallops, and pepperoni. I'm going to go ahead and hit save on that. So now I have my apps general category with these items in it. So now I'm going to go back to my comps. So maintenance, payments, comps. And I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to click on new, and it's just going to be a regular comp. And I'm going to call it app discount. I'm going to make it active because I want it to be active right away so it can be used. And I'm going to app discount. This is what I want to appear on the check. We want a fixed percent. So we want this to be 50%. Maximum amount, I'm not going to put anything in there because I don't want to set a maximum amount on it. But if you did, you could put that in there. Button position, I'm going to click on here and I'm going to give it an actual spot. So I'm going to make it show up right there. Report as, we can leave as default. But what we can do now is the name of your discount won't show up in this field until we hit save. So we'll come back to that. Don't necessarily need to print check on close or open up a drawer. Don't want a manager required to do it. Must select items. We don't need that. So now I'm going to go to taxes. Don't need to check mark anything here. Restrictions, we typically always check mark all these, and usually per check we'll put as 99 and 99. Unless you want to specifically limit that, you can, but typically the default we usually set it to is 99 and 99. And then eligibility, we're going to see here eligible items. We're going to hit this drop down, and we're going to scroll down until we see that new category that we created. We should see where's that? Apps, number 17. This is the new one we created. So we're going to go ahead and hit save now. If we go back to this comp, you can see here that report as screen. Now if we pick this, we're going to see our app discount shows up in this list now. So I'm going to go there and hit save. So now we just created a discount that's a fixed percent of 50% that can be used on any item that is in this apps general category that we created, which were those 5 or 6 items that were in there. So now when I go and select that discount, it will automatically take 50% off all of those items that are on a check. So that's an example of creating a discount and kind of how comps work. Generally speaking, what I always like to do as well is if you already have discounts set up and you're looking to create a new one, you can kind of reference one that you already have set up that's kind of similar and just kind of edit what you want to do with it. So you could kind of always just kind of reference it and go back and forth and say, okay, I want this set up the exact same way, but maybe I want it to be 25% off instead of 20. Well, then you could look at your 25% off or 20% off one and just change the fields to make it to be the new percentage that you want it to be. Also, what shows up quite a bit is that people will have discounts set up. So if I go to my comp here, and let's say I have a staff meal, let's check out some of these here. Okay, yeah, you'll have a discount set up, and all of a sudden, this is a common call that we get quite a bit, is that people will call in and they'll say, I have certain items on my menu where when I go to apply a discount to it, they don't seem to work. The items on there are ineligible and they don't actually get comped, but they need to be comped. How do I make sure that these items can be comped? So the comp that they're usually trying to apply usually has its eligibility set up to this category called all items. Because what we do is when we program the database originally, we create this all items general category and we put every item in the database into this category. But sometimes what happens is that as brand new items get created, they don't automatically get put into the all items category. That has to be done separately. So when we go and we look at this eligible item, so I'll click on here and we'll look at this all items category. So you can see here that we have one here, medium rare, although it's a modifier, it's still an item. So right now, if this was an actual order entry item, we wouldn't be able to comp it. So you could see here, like for instance, what happens. And usually we put all the items in here, including blank items. But what can happen sometimes, like if I go back to my items here, and let's say we're going to program in a brand new item. So we'll look for something that's not being used, a number that's not being used. So 1099 is not being used, or 1081. So we'll go new, or it just created 4. It took the next number that wasn't programmed. So we'll create a new one. We'll call it test item. So let's say you get this brand new item. You're programming it in your menu. We'll just give it some default stuff here. Put it in food. We'll go to the tax group. We'll give it a price. Okay. So we went ahead and we programmed this brand new item. We go ahead and we put it on a submenu, and then the staff start ringing it in. But then all of a sudden they're trying to apply a discount, and they're like, "Well, it's not working on these new items that I created. Why doesn't it work?" It's because when we go and we look at that comp, it's set up to go to all items. But when I go check the eligible items and I look at this all items category, the brand new item I created is sitting over here on the left. It's sitting into that's basically the available column. So as you create new items that are brand new items, you have to make sure that you're coming into your categories, going to your all items category, selecting that item and hitting the arrow to move it over and include it in this all items category. So when staff are going and doing discounts that have this all items set up to be the eligible category, they'll work on those new items that you're programming. So that's the biggest thing we have with comps is that as customers are creating brand new items, they need to make sure that you go into the category all items and you move those items over into that category so it will work with comps that are set up to use the all items category. Hopefully this video was informative and gives you some tips and tricks on how to create comps and how to maintain them. And yeah, thanks for tuning in.